Are you there? How's it going, everyone? Well, the small amount that watches me, which I'm highly appreciated of. Cracky, I can't get my words out at the moment. What I was going to say is, all these people talking about chemtrails and all that. There's barium, aluminium, etc., going into the atmosphere. Well, they don't need an extra socket on the plane in order to do that. But the barium, revers out there, motorbikes, the barium and aluminium, etc., all the heavy metals come from fuel anyway. That is in the gas tanks of the planes. And you think about it, if they want to brainwash a mass amount of people, or sedate them, or poison them, flying planes over, they're going to put it in the fuel anyway. This stuff is going to be in the fuel. They don't need extra sprayers coming off the planes to do so. I know in the past they have put extra chemicals in the air with planes. CIA did it, firing neurotoxins and stuff at poor housing estates around different parts of the world. Can't remember where, because I've had a drink. But what I'm saying is, all this poisonous stuff in the atmosphere is coming from fuel itself. Barium, aluminium, I'll say etc. again, because I can't remember all the other poisons in it. It's coming out of people's exhaust pipes as you push your baby in the pram along the roadside. And the baby in the pram is at exactly the right height to be inhaling all these fumes from car exhausts and stuff. And these fumes, from what I've read, will lower a child's IQ by 10 points. So if they're to do an IQ test with fresh air continuously in them without getting poisoned by petrol and diesel exhaust fumes, they'd be 10 points better off in the IQ wise. So think of how far it could have held our IQ back from the start. And obviously planes fly over. I'm not saying that they've not got extra tanks on them in order to do experiments on us and poison us further, but all the things that are listed on chemtrails and stuff, it's just a different word, in my opinion, to exhaust fumes, because exhaust fumes release exactly the same stuff that is listed with chemtrails anyway. So whatever's fueling the planes is basically, maybe it makes the atmosphere more electromagnetically sensitive or whatever. I don't know, but they're tiny metallic particles, because all these are metals, different types of metals. They're all on the chemical table up there, but I'm not going to list them because I haven't memorized the chemical table yet. But yeah, it's all bad anyway. And the reason people are saying, how come we didn't have all these things in the sky when we were youngsters in the 1950s or whatever, that was because there was less planes to start with, so less exhaust fumes, less poison in the atmosphere, and so on and so forth. But people seem to be reading in and thinking every plane that's flying over, some people anyway, assume that there's extra things fitted on the plane in order to spray us with poisons, which there isn't most of the time yet. There could be some of the time, because some planes do have done that in the past. It's been documented, like MK Ultra like experiment type things. And people have gone and had deformities and all sorts of stuff from chemicals they've sprayed in the air around low-income flats and stuff in the USA. Maybe it's happened in England too. I haven't read about it, but it probably has. So what I'm saying is, people need to sort of realise and say, hold on, these exhaust fumes are doing exactly what is listed in chemtrails and stuff, which is the same thing. The same thing's happening. Just call it exhaust fumes if you're listing all the things that come off exhaust or come off oils and stuff. Don't you think the massive oil companies and gas companies, if anything was to happen, surely there would be like CIA type, MI5 type, or NSA type that would say, can you add this to your fuel? It'll be injected out anyway. Neurotoxins, anything, but it's just going to be added to the fuel. They're not going to add extra canisters to the thing unless they're doing a specific experiment on us, which they could well be doing in certain parts of the world. But why don't people just say, hold on, it's the exhaust fumes that are doing all this shit to us. It's poisoning our kids as they grow up. They walk by the roadside, and everyone's to blame, including me. I have a boiler in my house which uses gas in order to heat the heating and stuff. But I would blame car drivers a little more, motorbike drivers a little less, car drivers a little more, because they're using more fuel, and that more fuel is going into the children's lungs and the parents' lungs, who are pushing the children and lowering their IQ by many points. 10 points on average, they say. So if we didn't have cars in the world and we just walked everywhere, we didn't go as far afield, we didn't need to go into holiday into the bloody Caribbean or wherever, we'd have a lot less strain and stress on our brains, and our atmosphere would probably do way better for it. Don't forget, all this oil and stuff is basically old dinosaur bones or something like that. So what are we doing? Are we putting the dinosaur souls into the atmosphere or what? I don't know. I'm just speculating on things, but what I do know is that everyone keeps talking about chemtrails and all that. Why not just call it the fumes of the exhaust, or the exhaust fumes, which it is? Why make loads of other names for it and then misguide people with certain websites and certain things, taking them on to chemtrails, nanobots and so on? I've seen videos of nanobots grabbing hold of a person's neuron in the brain, right? The neurons in your brain, it would be more or less impossible, because there's more neurons in a human's brain than there is stars in our Milky Way galaxy. So you can imagine how small a nanobot would have to be. Yet a nanometer is something like a thousandth of a millimeter. Well, if that's the case, they would be far too big to cling on to any neuron and wrap around it. That they would well, it just seems a bit ridiculous, and it seems like a lot of TIs are going off onto them things, and we don't need to, because this is how they're catching us. They're taking us out of one box, right? And because, well, we've managed to get out of one box, and because we've got out of one box, they're trying to put us into a smaller box, and some people will fall for it, some won't. But this is what I reckon is happening. I'm going to say I reckon, because I'm not saying everything I say is completely correct, because I don't know. No one knows what's exactly correct. This is the problem. You've got to look at things from every angle and every way. And I just think it's a bit. I think they're just trying to sidestep us, get us looking at something completely different to what's happening in order to make us look more delusional than we actually are. They're feeding us false information constantly. The targeted individual scheme, we didn't name ourselves targeted individuals, but we know we are targeted individuals because of what has happened or whatever. Now, how do we get around all these websites telling us lies? All these websites with the fake fonts, the fake all sorts. Well, I don't look at them anymore because I know how much it sways your mind and basically brainwashes you. There's certain websites that will induce voices in your head because they've got hidden sounds just below the auditory hearing level, or just at the lowest level of being able to hear, and they will have quick sounds in succession, like every so often through the video you might watch, and then all of a sudden all them sounds will connect together in your head and you will hear a voice. And this is how these things work on some of the websites, but it's very hard to explain. I haven't noted any of the websites down because it was about 5 years ago when I was checking up on everything, because I'm like, what? I'm still wondering what's happening to me. And the best thing to do is try not to check a lot of it out and try and use your discretion as much as possible, because these websites are fucked, man. Half of them anyway. I mean, some are legitimate, obviously, but you've got to be so careful which website to go on. I'd like to make my own website, but then it could be hacked and they could put subliminal messaging or anything behind it. So how do we win? How do we get through this? How do we achieve our goals when we're being held down and held back continuously, is the question. And I don't really know. But I'm trying my hardest to survive, and I'm trying to keep a sane mind at the same time, which is very difficult at the moment. And I swear they are trying to split the brain, split the parts of your brain in little tiny manufactured bits, so you can switch from one personality to another, have a trigger word said to you, bang, and then you click out of one system to another. Then you're a ruthless warrior for 5 minutes, and the next minute you're like, what the fuck is going on? This is mental. I don't understand what's going on, and so on and so forth. And I swear that is being done. It's hard. Thank you for watching, and that I've just got to scroll someone's sticker which is in the way of the stop button. Crazy stuff, this computer malarkey. But thank you for watching. Just be careful on what websites and that you go on. Use your discretion to as much as possible. Use your logical part of your brain, which is supposed to be on the left side, but I don't know if it's on the imaginative side, which is the right side. I'm not too sure. But if you see a left eye, turn it into a right eye, in my opinion. Take care, everyone.